if Shedeur's sitting on the front row or not. If he said, I got sources saying this kid don't study, this kid's in the back of the room acting, then you say something. You say something, but don't just say those things because you want to sound bite and you want to go viral and talk about what this kid's not doing. I mean, Rex, you allowed.
Rex Ryan probably woke up that morning thinking it was going to be another routine day at the studio. Coffee, camera, a few loud takes, and some dramatic hand gestures about football. What he didn't realize was that he was about to step straight into the verbal blender known as Michael Irvin and come out looking like a leftover smoothie. That's exactly the kind of clip that exposes the double standard in sports media, man. Because think about it. When they talk about Shedeur Sanders, it's never just football. It's tone, it's posture, it's body language, it's does he study enough? But ask yourself, where's the proof? If you've got sources, if you've got facts, say it. But if you're just chasing a viral soundbite, painting a young black quarterback as lazy, distracted, or unprepared, then you're not reporting, you're performing. And Rex Ryan, you were loud, bro. Loud about what he's not doing. But notice, nobody ever says that when it's a white quarterback with confidence. Then it's swagger, leadership, competitiveness. With Shedeur, it's always something else, always coded, always a concern. They say he's too flashy. Translation? He's too confident. They say he's not humble. Translation? He's not submissive. This isn't about tape, it's about control. Who gets to act like a star and who gets told to stay in line? So yeah, call out Rex. Call out anyone spinning narratives with no receipts. Because Shedeur's work ethic isn't just talk, it's legacy, it's bloodline, it's documented. And when he finally steps on that field and proves them all wrong, remember this moment, when the critics wanted clicks instead of truth.
Something's missing with this kid. This kid talks, he runs his mouth like I could be a starting quarterback with his arms crossed like this. Get your ass in the front row and study and do all that. If I know, the whole league knows. Quit being an embarrassment that way. You got the talent to be the quarterback. You should be embarrassed that you're not the quarterback now.
That clip right there, that's not analysis. That's ego dressed up as expertise. See, Rex Ryan didn't sound like a coach breaking down tape. He sounded like a man trying to discipline somebody else's son on national TV. Get your ass in the front row and study. Excuse me? Who made you the dean of quarterbacking? It's the tone for me, the finger wagging, the performative anger. Because if this were another rookie, a golden boy prospect with a southern drawl and a fresh fade from Alabama, that speech would have sounded different. Then it's he's young, he's learning, he's finding his voice. But when it's Shedeur Sanders, it's he's talking too much, he's embarrassing himself. They say something's missing with this kid. Translation? He doesn't fit the mold they built. They want confidence without culture, swagger without sound. They want the numbers, not the noise. And Rex, you of all people should know better. You coach loud, you lived loud, you built a brand on brash. But now a young brother talks with the same conviction and suddenly it's run your mouth? Here's the truth. Shedeur's not missing anything. He's just not begging for approval. And that scares him more than any interception could ever. Be honest. Is this really about football or is it about control?
Rex Ryan don't want me to say shit, he want me to study. How the Rex Ryan know he's not studying?
I don't know, that's a good
How you know he's not in the front row not studying, Rex?
I don't know. Well, somebody told Rex.
Man, nobody told Rex.
When a bad
Rex ain't nobody told you. Shit.
Hey,
you don't
Rex,
know what you don't know Rex is he a football head, he is studying.
That's the whole point right there, and you can feel it. Rex Ryan out here talking like he's been sneaking into quarterback meetings at 6 a.m., like he's sitting next to Shedeur with a notebook and a highlighter. How you know he's not studying? You don't. You heard something, you assumed something, and you turned it into a headline. Because that's what happens when the image gets louder than the evidence. Rex sees jewelry, sees confidence, sees prime bloodline, And suddenly he's got X-ray vision into the man's work ethic? Please. What he doesn't realize, what most of them don't realize, is that Shedeur is built like a film rat. He's a football junkie. He studies like somebody still trying to earn a scholarship. The difference? He just don't need to prove it for the cameras. And that's what bugs him, because they can't read him. He's calm, he's composed, he doesn't let their noise shape his identity. So Rex can talk about front row all he wants, but Shedeur's been front row his whole life. Front row to greatness, front row to pressure, front row to a father who built an empire off discipline and vision. If Rex really watched the tape, not the clips, not the headlines, he'd see it. The footwork, the timing, the decision-making. That's study. That's hours of reps. That's obsession. But nah, easier to call it arrogance than admit its excellence. So here's the real question. Is Rex Ryan evaluating Shedeur Sanders or just reacting to the fact that he don't control him? Rex Ryan probably woke up that morning thinking it was going to be another routine day at the studio. Coffee, camera, a few loud takes, and some dramatic hand gestures about football. What he didn't realize was that he was about to step straight into the verbal blender known as Michael Irvin and come out looking like a leftover smoothie. Because this wasn't analysis, this was ego, dressed up like expertise. He didn't sound like a coach breaking down tape. He sounded like a man trying to discipline somebody else's son on national TV. Something's missing with this kid. This kid talks too much. He runs his mouth like he's the starter. Get your ass in the front row and stay. Excuse me? Who made you the dean of quarterbacking?
See, that's the problem right there. The tone, the finger wag, the performative anger. Because when it's another rookie, a golden boy prospect with a southern drawl and a fresh fade from Alabama, that speech sounds real different. Then it's, he's young, he's learning, he's finding his voice. But when it's Shedeur Sanders, suddenly it's, he's talking too much. He's embarrassing himself. They say, something's missing with this kid. Translation? He doesn't fit the mold they built. They want confidence without culture, swagger without sound. They want the numbers, not the noise. Rex Ryan don't want me to say it, but let's say it. He wants Shedeur to study. All right, Rex, how you know he's not studying? You sitting in that meeting room? You checking attendance? How you know he's not in the front row already, pen in hand, notebook full of reads and route combos? You don't. You heard something, you assumed something, and you turned it into a headline. Because that's what happens when image gets louder than evidence. They see jewelry, confidence, prime bloodline, and suddenly they think they can diagnose his character. They don't see the 5 a.m. grind. They don't see the film sessions. They don't see the quiet hours in that facility. What they don't know is that Shedeur is a football head. He lives it, breathes it. He studies like somebody's still trying to earn a scholarship. He's built like a surgeon, calm, precise, obsessed with details. The difference? He doesn't need to prove it to people fishing for a soundbite. And that's what really gets under their skin, because they can't read him. He's composed, he's centered, he doesn't give them the drama they feed on. So Rex can keep talking about front row, but Shedeur has been front row his whole life. Front row to greatness, front row to pressure, front row to a father who built an empire out of discipline, faith, and vision. This kid's not missing anything. He's not lost. He's not distracted. He's just not begging for their approval. And that's what shakes him. They said he was cocky. Translation, confident. They said he was flashy. Translation, free. They said he wasn't ready. Translation, he's ready. They just not ready for him. You want to talk about embarrassment? Embarrassment is a grown man on national television projecting his frustrations onto a 22-year-old who hasn't even been given a real shot yet. Embarrassment is confusing personality for problem. Embarrassment is acting like you care about the game when what you really care about is control. Let's be real. This ain't about football IQ. This is about who gets to look like a quarterback, who gets to act like a star, who gets to lead with fire and not get called arrogant. Rex Ryan built a whole career on being loud, defiant, and bold. Now he sees that same fire in a young black quarterback, and suddenly it's humble yourself? Nah, that's not mentorship. That's hypocrisy. If Rex really watched the tape, not the headlines, not the social clips, he'd see it. The reads, the footwork, the anticipation, the growth, that's study, that's work, that's obsession, that's prime DNA. So when Rex says, get your ass in the front row, you know what I hear? Fear. Because the moment Shedeur actually gets that shot, the whole narrative flips, the league changes, the media tone changes, and some of these old voices, they fade out. Because this isn't just about Shedeur Sanders, it's about control. It's about who gets to write their own story without permission. It's about a new generation of quarterbacks who don't just play the game, they own their image, their message, their future. Rex can talk loud, but Shedeur moves quiet. And when that moment comes, when that jersey hits the field, when those cameras finally have to focus on performance instead of personality, that's when the truth shows. So keep doubting them. Keep talking about missing pieces, because every time they do, Shedeur adds another one. He's not missing anything. He's just not what they expected. And that's exactly why he's dangerous. Be honest, is this really about football or is it about control? Drop your take below. Are they criticizing Shedeur Sanders or trying to contain him?